Welcome to the Iron Table. I'm your host, Brian Godai, and I'm joined by my co host, Mr. Keith Jones. As iron sharpens iron, so should men sharpen men. We are here to enlighten, inspire, and relight that fire called self. So come on, pull up a chair, sit for a while, for truth is always on the menu. We now join the program, already in progress.
All right.
The Iron Table. It has been a while since we've been able to get to the table. It's kind of rusty, but we've been able to buff out the rough spots. The
Iron doesn't rust.
Oh, it doesn't? Oh, what
No.
happened? I mean, I didn't do well in science, so what happens to iron if you just don't do anything to it?
Iron is the most powerful metal in the image. The king can speak. King, talk to me. Well, that was back in the day where somebody played King Nebuchadnezzar. He had that image talking about that iron.
Iron is, I mean, it is definitely different than the gold and the silver, but and we learned that iron and clay don't mix. But iron is in our day, a lot of things are made with iron. So, but it doesn't last forever. It deteriorates like everything else. But it's a very strong material.
It's hard.
It's hard.
Well, technically speaking,
but it's used. It is used to sharpen itself against itself.
There we go.
Okay.
So it's been good.
Let's see. It has been about 8 weeks since we've been able to get together. I think we've all had something going on. For me, I got a new hip.
That's big.
I had to get hip surgery. I all this time, I guess I now understand why I said a good iron gallop. I thought I was running regularly, but apparently I was not. So I had to get a new hip. It was an in and out surgery. 2 hours. They said I don't even think I counted at 3. I was like 1, 2, and then woke up 2.5 hours later, and it was like, we're done. I was like, make sure that I was dressed in the clothes. I had to check to make sure I still had on the same clothes that I came there with, because my last surgery I had on something a little different. But it has been probably one of the best surgeries that I've had. Zero pain.
How many you had, man?
I was going to say the best.
You said the best.
Yeah, I mean,
it seemed like it's chocolate cake or something,
Right. I've had both knees, and it's all basketball related. Both knees. Had exploratory surgery when I was an infant, which kind of goes back to why I needed a hip. I had a bad hip since birth.
I was gonna say, because you're not an old man. What you got all these surgeries for, old man?
Oh man, it's just life. I want the Lord to change me, I gotta break some stuff, right? I want to be new.
Do you?
I mean, hey, only got one life to live, but I mean, this was probably when I say the best, the easiest recovery. The hardest thing was sleeping. I tried sleeping sitting up, tried laying down, pillow between my legs. I tried every which way. I had even tell the missus, I'm sorry, you have to get out the bed because I need to adjust it so I'm sitting in a reclined position. But PT has been all right. The craziest thing is I wanted to run, and they was like, go ahead, go on and run. So she put me on a treadmill, 10 being the fastest. We started around 2. She said, wait a minute, before we start, I'm going to put some stickers on you. And, normally you put stickers on, it's because you did something well. No, these are some sad face stickers. And she put them on both butt cheeks, so that when I was running, she could see that, like, one. Yeah, I mean, that's.
Hey,
I don't want to say. I can't say.
You sure this is physical therapy?
Yeah, it was physical therapy.
Oh no, I was running.
Talk
to me.
Like one leg was here, one was there, and so running, the same.
And where was your middle leg?
It was in the front. She was looking at the backside. So,
is somebody else in the room when she?
Yeah, there was the whole staff. I mean, this wasn't So
All
yes,
right.
I was in a safe
Hey,
environment,
you
You
call
never
that
can be too
therapy,
careful.
but I went from
you know.
0 to 10, and I mean I made it. I had to jump off, but when she showed me the video, she was like, "Look at these faces." There was already sad faces, but she was like, "Look at them. They're not even in line." So she was like, "Yeah, your glutes are trash." I was like, "Wow, this is day one. This is how you treat me,
So
and I
tell me
gotta
how
pay
you
for
really
this."
feel.
He said your glutes are trash, and we'll probably spend more time in your rehab working on your glutes. Your
Wow.
hip will be fine. It's your glutes. You need to be able to feel it back there in order to you know to utilize your muscles the right way. Because I was using a lot more quads and hamstrings, which is why the knees snapped as they did, because my whole body just wasn't functioning the right way. So she said, "Yeah, glutes." And I was thinking to myself, all this time I've been clenching, thinking I'm, prepared for prison life. Well, no, I've my mind might be saying defense, but my backside might be saying offense or something. I don't know. I just wasn't protected, but that's really
Okay.
just what's been going on. But since the surgery, been able to walk, lift things, lay on my side, no pain at all. And I'm like, man, I wish I had done this earlier. Maybe I could have lied to myself and played collegiate basketball, or wouldn't have been galloping. I probably would have been able to dunk now.
You just wouldn't have been sore. You wouldn't have had the pain you
That's it.
had.
Just a bit sore.
Oh my gosh. So
That's what's been
sorry.
going on with me. But what's been going on with the two of you?
Yo, I've seen something about new aspirations popping up everywhere I look. New aspirations, and I'm like, yo, what's new aspirations? Yo, holla.
Well, I was gonna go there, but since you throwing it out there, listen, man. The New Aspirations is sort of old but new. While I was in Michigan, I started New Aspirations Counseling and Consulting, and I moved to Maryland. And I don't know why I did it, because it's messing up all my paperwork, but I named it. I opened up recently New Aspirations Counseling and Consulting here in Maryland as well. So right now I'm licensed. I'm still licensed in Michigan, so I still work out of Michigan. I'm still working out of Maryland. So I've been getting it moving. Done talking about it. Now it's time to get her done. So
Let's go.
I've been busy. I've been busy over the last few weeks with all that comes with that. So
What are the kinds of things that you are specializing in helping people do and helping people,
Guys, you asked a good question. This I gotta take
this
my
man,
hood
he
off of
took
that.
the hood off for that. Took the hood off.
Man. So, oh my gosh, across the board, right now we are seeing a lot of people looking at diagnosis, people with depression, anxiety, grief, loss. I'm seeing a lot of because right now, again, it's the holiday season, and this is a difficult time for a lot of people. So again, I'm trying to seriously engage people who are in need of help, who are in need of services. Furthermore, I had a chance outside of that just to take a break myself. For the past 3-4 years, I've been on go mode, go, work. But I had a pause to kind of allow myself to focus. I think God sometimes will sit us down, because I supervise different people in this field. And during the supervision, we all talk about the past 3 years. And I've said this in a lot of conferences, but people in the certain healthcare industries, nursing, mental health, or behavioral health, when COVID popped off, we didn't get a chance to sit down. We became busier. It has been crazy, but the last 6-8 weeks, I had a chance to 6 weeks of pause and kind of regroup and refocus, and it's been nice. It's been, well, I won't say it's been nice. It's been, some days it wasn't nice, but I'm looking back at it. Yes, it's been for the best, and it's hard getting businesses started, but once you get them going, it's worth it.
Oh yeah. So like one of the things that I appreciate about you is you don't see very many brown people who are in your profession with your gender And do you find yourself kind of like the big fish in the small pond? Are you like Michael Jordan in your like? Because I mean, it's not many.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not many of us out here. It's a very unique. I found myself being a very unique beast in this field. Now, and I'll say that. I say that to say.
He said beast.
Yeah,
Like
I'm good at this thing. I'm good at this thing, and I say that, and I'm not saying that in a braggadocious way. It's just that because because I've been in so many different avenues of this field, from prisons to hospital, agencies, private practice. I've had a chance to see how things run in all these different places. Psych ward, ICU, in the hospital, psych ward, ICU, just all these different variables. It prepares you to do and work with like so many pathology, so many types of mental illness, or just so I've had a lot of things thrown at me, and sometimes I'm the only one working, and I got to figure it out. And so when I go workplaces, I'm normally not fearful of what I will see, because not that I've seen everything, because I promise you there's always something new, but I've seen a lot, and that's one of the things I'm thankful for. My experience in this field has helped me get where I am, and so in working and training other people, I'm able to give them that knowledge, that information that a lot of people are too scared. They want to stay in that one lane. I only want to work with people who have anxiety or depression, or I only want to. No, if you're really gonna be a beast in this field, you're gonna have to grow. That's in and that's most fields. You can't stay in your box.
Yeah. So you mentioned a couple of things like anxiety, depression. I know we have like a brotherhood. This is the Iron Table. My question to you is, do you find that people who don't have these types of connections are more prone to kind of get sucked into the vortex of anxiety, of depression, of all of those things that just kind of seem like an epidemic?
It is absolutely. Again, anxiety, depression, a lot of those things are what's the word I'm looking for? They it's like gasoline and fire. When isolation. I'm talking about when we're isolated and we're experiencing these symptoms, and we don't want to talk, or we don't feel like we have someone to talk to, or the anxiety is too great to even
verbalize.
Verbalize. It becomes overwhelming, and so it's good to have. I realize, and I'm grateful for the circle I operate in, because I have that support. But it makes me more aware of those who don't, because a lot of people don't have it. And to me, it's just that simple. But we live in a day and age where everybody's on their own silo. They have their phone or their device, and we've talked about this before, how social media has changed things, or technology has changed things, but everybody's in their own silo. And sometimes that's good, because some people need to go sit somewhere and think, and then a lot of times it's bad, because you have nothing to do but sit and think. And if you're grieving, if you're mourning a loss, or you're grieving just different things that you've, like right now, every time I turn on, I rarely watch the news, but I heard all these companies, Amazon, and there's been some other, Twitter, all these people being laid off or let go. The grief and loss we often associate with death, but it's not just death. We lose things on a daily, their whole group set up for people, jobs,
relationships,
aging. We grieve the loss of our youth. A lot of times, as we get older, we just that midlife crisis comes, and where we can't get up and do what we used to. Like
need a new hip.
You're right. We need new hips and new knees.
I was not depressed. I was actually happy to get a new hip. What I felt before that, I felt that it was going to pop out of socket. But okay. So what does anxiety and depression look like from a male's perspective?
Walk us into that.
Yeah, because I've seen it from, if we, TV is shown like mostly females that are Or they're crying, they're sitting in a corner, holding themselves, rocking back and forth. But what does it look like for a brother?
It can be
Me?
that because it it can be very well, it can mirror some of the same symptoms that women have because it doesn't have to be gender specific. However, a lot of times as men, we don't always give ourselves the permission to show the emotional side of how we're feeling. So that anxiety will a lot of times with us present itself, or that depression, or will present itself as anger. A lot of times we will show anger first. And as we've talked about before, anger is a secondary emotion. There's something that drives anger. There's always something that's under there. So a lot of our emotion as men, that's the go-to for us. Even as little kids, when something happens, Johnny took my red crayon, and I'm frustrated about I might not get picked up. I had a kid who was acting out because he said my dad is or my mom is going to forget to pick me up, and I'm going to be stuck at school. Like, instead of dealing with the actual issue, he started acting out because of his fear of what might happen to him later. So anxiety, a lot of times we will become very angry. Sometimes we isolate. As I said, we will choose to be by ourselves, be with our thoughts. And
but you also pointed out that that's like throwing fuel on the fire, so
there's a balance.
Okay,
there's a balance.
No, I was saying, like, if you're saying that we have anxiety and we'll isolate, so that almost pushes us further into the closet of anxiety. It's what I'm hearing. It's like if it's already burning, let me throw some gasoline on it. So now I've got isolation, and it's probably exasperated. It's probably just like becomes this huge raging inferno that's almost unmanageable.
And that's where it gets to. It becomes unmanageable, and you can't put it out yourself. You can't.
We were taught
that's heavy.
I mean, you were taught
you cannot put it out yourself.
Not to cry.
Wow.
You were taught to suck it up, to suck it in, to keep cutting that fuse shorter and shorter till you do explode.
Be a man.
Yeah, but I mean, if I'm hearing it correctly, I can get angry. I can isolate. Is it then I start doing I like call it self-injurious behavior. I might be lashing out.
The gambling. The drinking, the gambling, there's a lot of drugs and alcohol numbing. For some that it's numbing. It's numbing. It's self-medicating. You're numbing the pain of because you don't know what else to do.
Wow. Say that again. Say that again, bro.
Filters. I'll say it.
Yeah, it's the truth. We're looking for a resolve or an answer, so we don't know what to do. So we look for ways to numb that pain from that, so we don't feel so anxious. Again, going back to grief and loss, people, men especially, I work with a lot of men who have become unemployed recently, and throughout. It's something about working, and I mean it's biblical. We were assigned job. The first man was assigned; he was employed by God Himself.
Name these things,
right? Take care of this garden. That's your job. So when we're unemployed, a lot of times we lose. That's our identity, because that's what to us. That's who we are. That's what we do. When you first meet a guy, what's the first question most of us ask? What do you do? Yeah. What's your name? Hey, hi, Brian. Hey, Danny. Hey, what you guys do? That's like one of the questions that follow right behind. But when we don't have that, and it's just, hey, Keith, what do you do?
I'm chilling, playing video games.
And we attach our worth to what we do. So again, my self-esteem now is demolished because I don't have a do anymore. I don't have what I do. I did this, and sometimes I did this for 20 years, and then they let me go, and now I just sit at home and watch Judge Judy. So
not Judge Judy.
Yeah, that's what these guys are now.
So I mean, so our worth is,
as the
we're not
world
working,
turns.
we're not bringing in money. We're probably being berated at home because we're not bringing in money and we're not working. So
not probably.
Not probably.
Not probably. And you gotta have because you now also you have your own anxiety. Now you're taking on the anxiety of your family because you are. Sometimes it's not intentional. Kids will come, Dad, you said you were going to get me my basketball uniform or my cleats, or you going Dad, you said you're gonna give us some spending money, and now Dad don't have it, and now you feeling bad. I mean, you feeling bad because you said we were gonna do these things, or I was hoping to do these things, and now, and if you, again, you have a wife, significant other, she's normally going.
It'll be okay.
Her anxiety
baby.
will become your anxiety.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah.
That's real.
So,
And go ahead, Brian.
no, well, it's probably going to be a question after yours, but I was going to ask, like what are some ways that men are asking for help without saying the word "I need help"?
Oh, that's good. That's real good. Because
That's a
men,
good question.
what man that do you know that's gonna hey man, I need help. That's almost like the most unmanliest thing
Well,
that
that's
you
what
could
the iron
ever
table
say.
is. Is the iron
It's
table
not until we
unmanly?
hit like rock
Yeah, I mean,
bottom.
like culturally speaking, I'm not saying
But
that
yeah,
it is because I've both
This is
times.
what we're
I'm
here
like,
for.
that's it. But like culturally speaking, that's rough, and that's a very valid question that Brian asked. What for people who are watching or listening to this, you're looking at a behavior, and what are those signs? That's just like, yep, there it is. That's exactly.
Brother,
Now,
can I
how do
borrow
I help them?
$5?
Like,
I need to put up my most card. They took my most card. I need some gas.
most card.
I think that varies with men, because some men grew up. I mean, some men have hit bottom enough early in life where they you ain't got
I
to
need
ask them
help.
twice.
Yeah.
They gonna get fired from the job they at, and they gonna go next door the same day. I just got fired. I need a job. What y'all got? And I need some help. Or they gonna go file for disability. They gonna do something right away. But like
Yeah.
you said, culturally, we are geared to, you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You got to figure it out. You got to do it all, and you got to make it work. And that's, but realistically, that's not how. Getting the message across to men that everybody, and I say it to everyone, especially the young men that I work with, old men alike, everybody needs help. Everybody. At some
Speaking of
point,
young men, we had a cameo there.
where was it? Where's my man?
He gone. He was asking me, Dad, what's that? I got a racing wheel stand. I'm trying to up my racing game.
I thought you were introduced. I thought we had a special guest. I thought he was going to come live.
No, there you go.
Yep,
there he is.
That's all right. Because let him get he gonna be sharp too.
Oh yeah, we're gonna start. Because I actually, we had an interesting conversation today about work, and it's amazing what 2-year-old schoolwork will look like. Not 2-year-old, second grade. And so, he's kind of sad, and he does the tears thing, and I'm sitting there like, here, I don't like to see you sad, but let me explain something to you. Crying does what? I said the work is still there. The work isn't disappearing, and I said, go ahead, shoot out some tears.
Wait.
And he shot out some more, and I was like, the work is still there. Sometimes we gotta do stuff we don't want to do in order to get to what we want to do. So, I acknowledge your sadness. Hey, who wants to do work when you're off, you're out of school? But we still got to do it. And so, of course, he was trying to be funny. He shot out some. He took the work off the table, put it behind his back, shot off some tears, and I said, but it's still in your hand. You still got to do the work. So he was able to accomplish it. And so I think now they're about to watch a movie. So I saw him grab some popcorn. So it's a learning lesson. But going back to what we were saying, there has to be a secret man code to say, I'm in need of help me, or just ask me what's going on so that I can tell you, because I'm not just going to spill that information, walk up and call. Everybody isn't us to say, hey man, you know what, I was struggling in this area, and this is what I was thinking, how does this sound? But for those, like Danny said, that are watching, listening, what is that secret man alarm, that silent alarm where you just seeing lights flash. You're like, wait a minute, I might need to check up on my brother or stuff. I know in social media, if somebody was, posting, happy messages every day, and then all of a sudden the next, fire burns and so does my life or something, or something just negative, of course that's an easy detectable sign. But in your line of work, Heath, what have you seen is that secret man code that's just, I need help?
Trying to think, because some things are not gender specific and some things are, or more gender specific. Because sometimes you can't tell. There are times that like you said, there's obvious situations where someone moved and their post may change out. And I see this, I'm laughing because I see it a lot. The Lord is great and worthy to be praised. I hate everybody and I wish everybody would die. It's so I've seen the range of emotions from people, but again, with most men, we're not allowed to. It's hard to gauge men because most times we're not allowed to.
And let me jump in and say, like, I know that I just noticed in the last year or so, I noticed that the common question that we'll ask, man to man, is like, yo, you good?
Yeah, I'm straight.
And how's he going to respond to that? He's going to respond exactly like you
to the
just
script.
did.
We have a script. We have a script as men. We have a script. How you doing? I'm hanging in there. I'm straight.
Yeah.
I'm
Come
good.
on. Yes.
I'm all right.
So are you suggesting then that we need to learn to ask a better question?
No,
and if so, what is that? What is that question then? You good?
I've said this before.
You straight?
No,
what's the prompt? What is the thing that we'll say?
Acts with intent to action. I think part of the question is such a, what's the word? It's such a overused question, or it's overstated in a way that, how am I trying to say this?
How are you doing today? I'm fine. It's
so cliche. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, it's a cliche.
It's such a cliche statement or phrase that we give a cliche answer. So we're not. And all cultures have them. I'm thinking of like the French, the Haitian. Like everybody has a way where you say, "What's up? I'm good." That's it. But asking with intent, because you actually want to know how the person is doing, allows you to go back and ask. In our field, we call open-ended questions. If you ask a yes or no question, you're gonna get a yes or no answer. All my clients know me for this. Let me go back. Miss Maddox, back in 8th grade, she wouldn't let us use the word nice. She hated when we used nice. I remember that. That's the first person that made me rewrite a paper because I wrote such and such was nice and his house was nice. And she's like, but what is nice? Nice. So I use that when people say fine, nice and nice, fine has become my nice. When my clients say I'm fine or I'm okay, what does that mean? And I make again, we have to rethink it. I just had this conversation. Well, I have this conversation weekly because I talk about this much. Most of us don't even know how we feel. So when you say, how are you feeling today? My initial response will be fine. I'm good. Yeah. Well, when I say, because I do this to my clients, but what does that mean though? I do it to my kids. What is fine? Break fine down. I don't know. I don't understand fine. No, I'll say, well, okay, how you really feel? Because I'll ask that question. How you feel?
So you saying that you don't believe him?
No, I believe him, but I think no, some people I don't, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because when they actually this happened today. So what's been going on, man? Oh, I said, how's everything? Oh, I'm good. I was like, what's good? I was like, so you don't. I was like,
this isn't my conversation with you,
right? So I was like, so I will dive a little deeper to because what did I ask him? Because again, whenever somebody say everything's straight, what does straight mean? And then he was like, you know what, actually, and he said, you know what, actually, I'm really tired.
Wow.
Like
when you dove in a little deeper.
When I dove in a little, I was like, okay, no, I get the cliche, I get what we're supposed to say, but how are you really feeling? And he said, I'm actually really tired. And I'm saying, okay, let's talk about it. And so the more we talked about it, the more he was able to explain the reasons why he was exhausted. And again, we could work on that. We could do some things to kind of I won't say eliminate, but we decrease some of the things that were draining his energy. So or we came
Do you find that once people are able to verbalize stuff, that's like half the battle?
Oh my
You know?
gosh. Oh my gosh. Because if you don't know what it is, how do you diagnose or fix it? If you brought something to the mechanic and he can't tell you what's broken, how he gonna fix it?
It's something under the hood.
It's something under there.
And
There was smoke and stuff.
But you have some people that can take that and like keep. I mean, your profession takes the little and gets deep down in and says, okay, all right, if it's something rattling on the hood, I know these possible things is what could rattle. I'm gonna check these first. It
Yes.
could be this, and if not. But for the average person, I mean, like I like to believe that I'm a good, a decent communicator, and I like to listen to how a person responds. Their voice inflections. You can say, "Man, I'm all right." That doesn't sound like you all right. That sounds like you want me to ask. You sure what's going on? Now, if you said, "Man, I'm all right," I'm still going to ask because that's a little bit higher than
And like I said, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't know. They know something is wrong.
Yeah.
I just don't know what yet. I don't have to work because again, our communication process. Or Danny and I were talking about this earlier. Sometimes we need to go. Being alone is not always bad. It's too much time alone. Sometimes you need that time to draw to yourself and get your words together. That's why I asked him, "How are you really feeling?" And then I shut up. I let him. I knew it was going to take him a few minutes to put some words together. Because as a guy, we don't spit words out.
Asked, and then you shut up.
And then I shut up, right?
And you use these.
I let it. So as you put words together, it allows you to express. So, because again, sometimes we ask people and we want to answer right then and there. How are you doing? If you're asking a guy, you're going to have to give that guy a minute to process how he's really doing. Because we don't do check-ins with ourselves. We don't ask ourselves that question.
Wow.
Not daily.
We don't do check-ins. And that's the first thing that girls do. A lot of times they sit down, girl, what happened? He came and he told me that he didn't want to. They like pour out. And guys, we're just like, yo, you good?
Yeah, I'm all right, man.
Straight. When there's stuff bottled up, where we literally can find ourselves constipated, emotionally constipated. Because we don't have a valve to release, and then we get caught up in anxiety and depression, and it's a vortex that like pulls you in, and you go more into isolation, and the very thing that you need most you're running away from, because you're becoming more and more isolated. You're dealing with more and more anxiety, more and more depression, more and more crippling thoughts and beliefs, just like snatching you down like quicksand. And I think that this is very powerful because we have to, as men, learn how to ask the right questions. We can't just like, yo, you good? It's like, yo, I'm even trying to practice now. It's like, what would be a better question? You mentioned open-ended questions. How are you processing X, Y, and Z?
Yes.
What's been your thought process with elemental P? I know that you've been going through a situation that
But
is there any way that I can support?
To get that
right there,
you would have to know that person, and they would have to be vulnerable enough to share. One of the things I was told is that not everyone has the type of relationship and the accountability that we have.
True.
And we've cultivated this over, since the 80s. Can't say exactly.
Don't date me like that. Don't date me. I still look like I'm in my 20s.
Hey, we all wearing hats because that's a side story. But I mean, it took observing. I may not have known everything that was going on, and y'all didn't know everything that was going on with me, but you could see over a period of time, all right, you know what? Something ain't right with Bryant today. Let me either ask that question or, let me sit back and watch. And both of you will always intervene at a time where I may not have been ready, but it was when it was needed. But if, for the guys that don't have that type of, historical bonding, shared experiences and all that stuff, what could we offer them? You know,
New
there has to be-
aspirations.
Come on in. I got you. No, I actually not want to, because we're not wanting anymore. We're in the planning stages. I'm finding a time. I'm going to start running a men's group. I'm probably 2 of them. I'm looking at possibly Friday
Please not out in the
afternoon.
wilderness.
No, we're
cold.
gonna start out virtually, but I would like to also do it.
Take me to the wilderness.
Yeah, I would love that. But we
can go to a game or some activity. You know,
no, we need that too.
Gotta be out in the
we
wilderness.
Do. We do need to be able to go to the game, you know, and also go to the wilderness. I think we need both. But
no, you do.
We can go to a room and just look at it. That's all. Some of us just need sight.
Yeah. But I think that the key thing is if you don't have, because if the people who you're around don't really have a high degree of emotional intelligence, I think that it's helpful to use who you have, but worst case scenario, you need to pay, like pay somebody, like New Aspirations,
I believe in,
like Keith, you pay
help.
Your counselor, you pay your therapist, you pay your coach, you pay.
Because you're not, if you go to just the average Joe, this is why people have the hardest time going to family. Listen, I'm not against going to family. If you got a family member you can talk to and you don't need to come see me, listen, I'm okay with that. Go talk to your pastor. If your pastor's working well with you and you are okay, that's great. But however, the average person does not have it. And it is hard. The hardest thing for us to do is open up. And it is hard to open up in a place where you don't feel safe, or you don't feel like you trust the person, or you don't feel connected to the person.
Or you feel judged.
And so going to somebody, listen, I've heard so much and seen so much over the years. I don't judge nobody. I don't even care no more.
Okay. What is the difference between being judged and then held accountable? Because we could, we got some people in our crew that are just, they are yes men. If I want to just hear that I was right and I was never, that I wasn't called out for being wrong, I'm definitely not calling Keith, because Keith will call me out. There's sometimes I was like, man, I did this. He's like, you were wrong.
Oh, I know. So why you do that?
Yeah, and I was like,
that's a Keith question.
This is the wrong person to call. Let me call someone else. Yeah, and I said, but I mean, what's the difference between
y'all do that to me too?
Judgment and accountability?
That's good. While Keith is thinking, I'm gonna talk off the top of my head because I'm smart. SMRT. I think being
first,
judged,
do we need to edit this?
No.
Make sure. Okay.
No. I think being judged denotes the thought process that somebody in that relationship feels like they're higher than. There's a greater degree of morality, or there's a greater degree of intelligence or of capability, and so they will look down upon the puny people who haven't figured out, who don't have the knowledge, who don't have the skill, who don't have the resources, and they'll make them feel like they're less than.
That is,
whereas accountability is more so having the relationships where you can be real about who you are, what's really happening, where you're vulnerable, where you're transparent, where you're not hiding with fig leaves. What's really going on, and going back to the anxiety. What is anxiety? It's the fear of the unknown, and we all have fear, especially men. We just don't verbalize it, and we get stuck in our own heads, and we're on that hamster wheel, and we don't have anybody to come and stop and say, "Whoa, no, that's actually not a logical thought," and accountability is so important, because until we get into safe space where we can verbalize what's really going on, whether that's with a counselor, with a therapist, or with a family member, a friend, or a pastor, we're on the hamster wheel, and we won't be able to stop, and we'll end up, about to lose our mind, anxiety, crippling depression, We got to verbalize it. The more we verbalize it, oftentimes the less we have it. You know, the less we verbalize it, oftentimes the more we have it, the more it has a hold on us. So that's my take on accountability and universal. Well, let's get the expert.
Yeah. No, you just answered it perfectly. It's not much I'm going to ask. I don't even have to. Like again, I feel you hit the nail on the head. But the view of being judgmental often comes, like you said, with that. It comes with this connotation or this thought process that you are looking down on me or you are punishing me for something that I did. You're looking at my actions and you're deciding the value and my worth. Whereas accountability is more so you're looking to it's a safer place.
Safe space.
It's a safe space. It's a place where I can come and I know even when I don't like what you have to say, you support me, you got my back, you're looking out for my best interest. You're not looking out for my best interest to hold it against me later. Because again, I'm looking at why a lot of I've had this in couples counseling. Why won't he talk to me? And a lot of men will say, she's not a safe space. She's not. It's not a safe place. It's not. Ooh. I feel judged. Ooh. I feel like my actions, my thoughts. Like I saw one lady's video, and it's true. You end up being punished for having an opinion about her opinion when she asks, "What's your opinion?"
Oh, say that.
Now you end up consoling her because you had an opinion that she asked for. So again, so again, you get into a place where you don't want your comments judged. You don't want to feel. So I'm just giving that as an example. Yeah. There's punishment that comes with that. There's an opinion and there's punishment that comes with me being who I am. And sometimes, again, having worked in the prison system, there are consequences to some of the things that people may say or do. I mean, again, even we have limits. If you have threat to harm self or others, that's where I'm a mandated reporter, and I've had guys decide to confess about crimes while in therapy. It's not the day I wanted to have, but I can tell you anything. Yes, I'll tell you where the other bodies are, and I don't mean to make light of situations like that, but it was crazy situations where people, I robbed those other two stores. It was me. I just needed to talk about it. So,
no, that's real. That's real because, man, in Psalms chapter 32, David said, "When I kept silent, my bones wasted away." Yeah, I was going crazy. And you look at what happened in 2 Samuel 12 when he's approached by Nathan the prophet. It's almost like he was like, "Thank you. Oh goodness, I ain't got to hide no more." It's just like
it's out here now, Lord.
Yeah, yes, it's out here.
What else y'all want to know?
I've heard it was a great and terrifying grace, and even people who've gotten caught, it's just like, yeah, man, I'm glad I'm no longer out there on that path. Now I can be real about what I've really been going through, what I really need, and I'm in a place where, I'm not stuck where I am. I can move from here, but it's good to not try to work so hard to keep that closet.
I was gonna say, image keeps a lot of us as silent and captive. That's the word I'm looking for. Image keeps a lot of us captive.
Yeah. Especially men.
You're not allowed to be vulnerable. You're not allowed to be. You're not allowed to ask for help. Again, people in authority figures, my pastors, my judges, police officers, people who have these certain jobs, these certain titles. You're not supposed to be going to see nobody for help. You're supposed to be the pastor of the church. But whatever. Whatever.
Y'all the main ones that need to be there.
We got to say that every therapist needs a therapist because, again, you have people who deal with things on a daily basis, teachers, people who deal with things on a daily basis that need help. But a lot of times we get conditioned in our head that asking for help makes us weak, and it's the opposite. Trying to do things by yourself will weaken you. Wolves travel in a pack for a reason.
So let me ask you this: we mentioned pastors,
preach, boy,
teachers.
preach.
When you say go for help, is going for help within your same community, is that helpful, or is it more of you've got the same individual? Like, I mean, if we use pastors are stressed out by the members of their church. If they're talking to another person, another pastor that's stressed out for them, where's the help coming from? You just got two people are talking about the same stressors, the same issues, and like, where's the? I understand you're releasing tension. You're talking about you're venting, and that helps. But is venting enough?
No.
I think that's the first step.
Venting is necessary. It's good to have birds of a feather, somebody who can understand your pain. It's good to have somebody who knows what you're going through. But again, the example I like to use, if I struggle with chocolate cake and you struggle with chocolate cake, we might not need to be talking too much about chocolate cake, because we're going to have some, because eventually, but if we're looking for a plan, again, it's not everybody, because I don't want to, I try not to demonize anybody's addiction, but if I'm like I said, if I'm dealing with issues and you dealing with issues and we're just talking about it, we're looking for ways to kind of joke about it, laugh about it, or deal with it. There's nothing wrong with that. I think every industry has that. I've heard some of the worst jokes from teachers about students, not because they're bad people. It's just some teachers are burned out and frustrated, and when the students are gone, they will say how they really feel. And I think, and again, that's most industries about their bosses or the other employees. So it's good to have people. I've heard pastors talk about church members that drove them crazy, because it happens. Calls 2-3 o'clock in the morning about nothing.
Do not disturb.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Or just showing up at the pastor's house. I need prayer right now.
Pastor can't turn them away. Y'all going like this, but
you saw both our heads turned at the same time. I think it's
that's fine. I'm not sitting on nobody's pulpit, nobody's church.
No, but I mean that's a common misconception to me, because the pastor isn't God, and I think that in many people, especially brown people, we have deified that. But that's a whole nother podcast. I ain't going down that rabbit hole. We're gonna stay right here.
You got to open it up.
We're gonna stay
that's
right
another
here.
One. We can put that in about is like why there aren't so many men in the church.
We'll
put that in that.
No, yeah.
Oh, it's coming.
Leave that one alone. Leave it.
Put it right there. Don't touch it.
Yeah. But you said something else that I wanted to comment on, and that was I forgot what it was. Daggone it. Oh well, I guess it wasn't that important.
No, no. I think, again, dealing with certain professions, they're not gonna. Most people are not. It's not gonna be an easy task to ask for help.
Yeah.
It often requires hitting bottom. It often requires somebody saying over and over, "Why don't you go talk to somebody? Why don't you go talk to somebody?" And you would think it's obvious. I'm learning this now, all these years, because I think things are obvious sometimes to people. So sometimes I don't say it, or there's a lot of things I don't say because I think it's obvious. If you stick your finger in the socket and it electrocutes you, then don't stick your finger in the socket. But people be like, I don't know why this keeps happening to me. Every time I put my finger in here,
that's the hamster wheel.
It might be that one time that it doesn't.
It's the hamster wheel.
It might be that one time that it doesn't, though.
No.
Now we need people. We all get stuck in that negative feedback loop. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I was going to talk about how everybody has something that they can fall into that is more like numbing. And there's a difference between numbing and recreation. So if you want to sit down and watch a movie, or if you want to go ahead, there's nothing wrong with that. But, when you're numbing, you're literally trying to escape. You're trying to, be the ostrich who puts his head in the hole, and the lion didn't go away,
Still right there.
Yeah. And so when we sweep things under the rug, when you bury emotions, you bury them alive. They're still there. They're coming up.
Still there.
And whether or not you want to acknowledge them, they're going to impact your life. So you might as well, verbalize them. Because once you verbalize them, they don't have as much power over you. And that's the first step, one of the first steps. So I love how you said, talk to somebody. Why don't you talk to somebody? And I know what it was. I wanted to say that the stigma that many people still have is that I ain't crazy. You know, I talk to somebody. I don't have to go to no psychiatrist. I ain't go to no therapy. I ain't about to kill myself. I ain't. But that don't mean you don't need to talk to
No,
somebody. That don't mean you don't
yeah,
need to go and sit down on somebody's couch and get some of that out. Because if you're emotionally constipated, same thing with physical
listen,
constipation. It's gonna
it's
keep you
coming. You
locked
gonna
up.
die. And if
Yeah.
Just
you
go
stay
talk to
blocked up
someone
long
because
enough, you gonna die.
you paying someone to keep your business quiet. You go to a friend that you offering your information for free. I mean, yes, you and I'm not saying you don't use your friends. Use your friends,
Yeah.
but a licensed professional in the field of mental health
Mm-hmm.
has the tools and has the requirement
Yeah.
to keep your business silent as long as it's not anything criminally illegal.
Yeah, and you use the keyword tools because we understand tools.
We
Like you
do.
can't change your alternator with a hammer and a screwdriver. I was just talking to Keith about this. I tried it. It took me like 7 days. And then my mechanic last time again, he came and he took the old one out, put the new one in like an hour because he had the right tools. And it's like, why would you? Why would you frustrate yourself and the people around you? Go to the person who's got the tools.
So to wrap up, because I'm looking at that timer.
Yeah.
And, if anyone wants to listen to this, they'd be like, I didn't stop listening 5 minutes in. But we're talking about tools. So what is if you had to pick one tool out of the male mental health toolbox for today? Because I know, Keith gonna say there's lots of tools. It depends on what
There
day.
are.
Yeah, I know there's lots of. So I took that thunder out of you. I'm taking it back. But if you had to pick one tool, what would that tool be?
I'm gonna say that whatever tool you would, I don't know what this tool would be called, but it's the tool that will remove pride, because
Ooh.
that's
It's like
what
a pry
keeps us.
bar.
It's a pry bar. I need to pry out pride,
Ooh. That's good.
because that's what keeps a lot of us from coming in and doing the work we need to do.
I got next.
Yes.
Get it?
Because I believe that, I think that we acknowledge as people of faith where pride comes from. Right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So pride originated, in the the heart and mind of Lucifer, who was like, yeah, I'm up here. I don't know why everybody else haven't figured that out yet, and it led to his downfall. And I think that there's another demonic construct from the pit of hell that keeps us bound up, and it's shame. Shame.
Yeah.
Shame is running and hiding. It's closed up. It's trying to conceal what's really happening. And, from the Genesis narrative, when we start running and hiding from the very agency that's designed to bring healing and wholeness, it's not going to be good. And whatever's causing you to run and hide from God is not God. And so running and hiding is just abysmal. So I just want to throw one more thing out there in terms of tools. That's a resource that I found helpful. It's a lady named Brene Brown. If you don't want to go sit on somebody's couch, read some of Brene Brown's stuff, watch some of her videos, follow her on social media. But she has a lot of works, the most recent of which is called The Atlas of Love. It's helping you literally Atlas of the Heart. The Atlas of the Heart. It's helping you name your emotions. It's a book that's just about different emotions, and it'll help you to be able to label what it is you've experienced, what it is you're going through, so that you can start to get unstuck and have a healthier frame of reference instead of being on that hamster wheel. So
Yeah.
Okay. And I would say my tool would be meditation. And there's a difference between meditation and just listening to your own thoughts. My understanding of meditation is it's kind of euphoric, prayerful, trying to obtain peace. Where if I'm just listening to my own thoughts, then they could be negative. And if they're negative at that time, as we've said before, you're just adding fuel to a fire that it'll just continue to consume not only you, but those around you. But to but to try to find a meditative spirit. It doesn't always mean that you're out in the middle of the wilderness, sitting Indian style with your hands up. You could be working on something, but just not really focus so much on your problem that you're in right now, but to kind of, take your mind off of it. Just take a pause. And even in that pause, just that moment of clarity, you might come back with a solution. But then of course, go to a professional if you can.
That's good. That's good. Eliminate pride, get rid of shame, meditate.
All right, well, that's it for the Iron Table. I like to thank my guys here. It's everyone doesn't have a team like this, and I'm glad that they're on my team and they're willing to accept my passes.
Happy hit, man. Happy hit.
Well, that's it for the Iron Table today. We hope you enjoyed your meal. Don't worry about the bill, for truth is always free. Since you got a free meal, why don't you do something for us? Leave a tip. Tell your family and friends, for there's always room at the Iron Table.